Günaydın, yeniden merhaba, ben Orkun Yazgan. 23 Şubat Çarşamba günündeyiz. Çevre gününün ikinci bölümünde yine son derece özel bir konuğumuz var. Son derece değerli bir konuğumuz var. Ankara'ya gideceğiz. İsviçre'nin Ankara Büyükelçisi Jean-Daniel Ruch'la birlikteyiz. Birlikte İngilizce olarak devam edecek programımız. Mr. Ambassador, good morning, welcome.
Günaydın, thank you very much for having me.
Günaydın, bonjour. It's a grand pleasure, big pleasure for us to welcome you in Çevre TV. So welcome again. Of course, as you know, environment is the main subject in the world's agenda. Almost in all international meetings, in the summits, in conferences, top subject is environment, and environmental problems. So Switzerland is also an active country in that matter. So we'd like to chat with you about your projects, your approach to environment and all. So, but let me start with a daily question. You arrived in Ankara, in Turkey, in summer, I think, in August. So how everything is going? Are you happy, your mission, and how long you're going to stay in Turkey? Let's start like this, please.
Yes, well, I arrived in August straight from Israel, where I was ambassador before. Before that, I was ambassador in Serbia. Mm-hmm. So I sort of circled around Turkey before coming to the core, to the center. And for me, it is a big honor to serve my country in such a big, important country, which is at the center of many, many, many things in the international relations. And also a territory with an amazing, tremendous history dating thousands and years back. So I really feel privileged to be here.
Almost 15 or 20 years ago, I was in Ankara as a diplomatic correspondent for NTV. And there was a Swiss day, National Day or something. It was a cocktail. And that time I asked the Swiss ambassador, dear Mr. Ambassador, you are at the center of European Union, but you are not the member of European Union. How come? It's like a joke or something. And he said to me, when European Union comes to our level, maybe we'll consider this. he said like this. I remember that anecdote. So let's start especially with your country's, your government's approach to environmental problems. As I told you, this is top of the agenda. This is over. This is about politics and all,
Yes, I think our people and also our government have been acutely aware about the existential challenges posed by the environment for quite a long time. Mm-hmm. I remember myself already in the 70s. We had campaigns in schools to better protect the environment. And I must say they did that exactly the right way. We had to use our free afternoon to go and clean forests or rivers in the winter. So once you have done that, then I can assure you, you are not throwing a paper on the wall. These are the small things, but which had managed to create a very strong awareness among our population. And this awareness reflected also in the political sphere. We have a very strong Green Party. Actually, this party, we have two Green parties. And both of them, they made the largest progression in our last elections in 2019. Switzerland was also the first country in Europe, and maybe in the world, I'm not sure, but certainly in Europe, to elect one Green as a member of the parliament already in the 70s. And this man is still in our parliament. He has been the mayor of Lausanne, a city which speaks a lot to the heart of the Turks, I think. Yeah. So we had a Green there. So the political awareness has been there for quite a long time. And we have tried to be an active participant in international efforts to cope with the challenges of climate change, including participating to the last, in an active way, to the last Glasgow conference. But also we have developed strategies to try to address the very serious issues that all of us be facing, including the reduction of carbon emission and the transfer of the energy production to clean energies, which are not producing CO2. So there is a strategy. We hope we can reach a neutral zero carbon emission by 2050. But we realize also today that the objective is very ambitious.
Okay, you know, the COP26 meetings was really important for the world, and there were some important decisions made, and British presidency is going on. How did you evaluate that meeting in Glasgow, COP26,
Well,
in general?
our government had a higher expectation.
Yeah,
We really thought that we could achieve more binding commitments on the side of all states to achieve some of the objectives of the conference, and this was not the case. So our minister was disappointed. Our minister for environment, who is also a minister for energy, infrastructure, transport, etc. She was there, and she was a bit frustrated by the lack of strong binding commitments on the reduction of emissions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so our main subject is Blue Peace movement started by your country, and you have some liaison offices also in Turkey, in Middle East, in that region. What is the aim of that project, Blue Peace movement?
Well,
how could you describe it, please?
I think we have to speak about water. Among the major, maybe the most important challenges deriving from climate change is the issue of access to water.
Water, yeah.
Nowadays, there is an estimate that about 40% of the world population is affected by water stress. What does water stress mean? Water stress means that people have access to less than 1,700 cubic meters of water per person per year. 40% of the population lives under water stress, and it is likely that this proportion of the population will increase very, very rapidly. So we have a serious problem. The Middle East and Turkey are very strongly affected by this situation. The estimate is that in the whole region, the average of water, fresh water, is 1,500, so even worse than the stress threshold. Turkey and its neighbors are all either under high or extremely high stress. Mm-hmm. And this situation in the world has been recognized by the United Nations since access to clean water and sanitation is one of the 17 sustainable development goals which are guiding the international community in this century. Now, we know the causes of water scarcity. It's of course demography, but it is also climate change, and it is also poor management of water, sometimes, and obsolete infrastructure, which are resulting in a loss or in a low quality of the water which is available not just for domestic use, but also for commercial or agricultural use. The consequences can be very serious, and already now you see serious consequences. First, there are socio-economic impact, like the small farmers in countries under water stress are the first affected because they cannot irrigate their crops properly and hard for them to survive. Also, the changes in the water supplies or water flows can affect the production of clean water, of electricity, clean electricity, because if there is one clean energy, it is electricity produced from hydropower. I think Turkey is very strong in that. We are also very strong. Over 60% of our electricity is produced by hydro power plants. Yeah. But this water scarcity can also lead to migrants. There is an estimate, a UN estimate, that between now and 2030, 700 million people might migrate because of water shortage. So this is, we're talking about a very serious problem, and I know also to whom I'm speaking. Turkey has been largely affected by migrations. Turkey is hosting the largest population of refugees in the world. So you know that migration are issues that need a very subtle and sensitive management, because they are very sensitive issues for each and every society. And last but not least, water scarcity can also then, the combined effects of all these socio-economic effects can also lead to interstate tensions, since very often access depends on water which is flowing through various countries, transboundary waters. And I think, again, both our countries have a lot of experience in that, because we share something, that we are both water tower. Turkey, because of the Tigris and the Euphrates, is very much a water tower for Mesopotamia and part of the Middle East. And because the source of the three, at least two of the three major European rivers are located in the Swiss Alps, the Rhine River, the Rhone, the Rhine flowing in the North Sea, the Rhone flowing in the Mediterranean, and also the major affluent of the Danube originate also from the Swiss Alps, flowing into the Black Sea. So we know what it means, what kind of responsibility it gives us to have this role as a kind of water source. And I think it is also our role in this position to see solutions and cooperations with our neighboring countries, the issues related to water.
What is the significance of that name, the blue peace? What is the objective behind that? Because normally in that region, when you talk about water, in general, it's something more negative. Combats, water wars like this, especially in media. You wanted to change something, I think, with that naming of the project, Blue Peace.
Well, this blue peace, I mean, based on the observations that I have just made on the urgency to deal with water issues, also the risk that the water shortage and water stress may have on vulnerable countries and vulnerable parts of the region, but also the risk that water scarcity can have regarding bilateral relations states. Taking all that into account, my ministry in 2010 started a process of conversation and discussion in various parts of the world, or the context of the UN, on how to use water not as a tool of war but as a tool of cooperation.
Okay.
Because yes, water can be a source of conflict, as we have seen in many places. But there is also it can also be seen as obliging us. Water creates a necessity for the states to better cooperate, to better manage in a most efficient way the limited water resources which are at our disposal. And that was the beginning of a thinking that has led my ministry to develop several projects, or to support several regional projects. And one of them is Blue Peace Middle East, where Turkey is working together with Syria, Iraq, and also Lebanon and Jordan. And we are trying to support this project, which has several components. Firstly, it's about a policy dialogue.
Yeah.
So you have to talk. You have to try to solve issues, to agree on certain issues, to agree on sometimes very basic issues like measuring the flow of water.
Yeah.
May be a difficult, maybe a sensitive issue. just measuring the flow of water leaving a country or entering another country. And then beyond this policy dialogue, there is also technical cooperation, which is being provided on issues like, for instance, enhancing the efficiency of the use of water. As we know, in many countries, the irrigation infrastructure, to give an example, not just irrigation, sometimes all water, also wastewater management. But to take one very precise example, the irrigation systems in some of your countries, in some of your neighboring countries, for agriculture are obsolete. And what is the result? The result is that, depending on the figure, at least 40% of the water is being lost, going in the sand or in the earth, instead of irrigating the crop and helping to enhance the harvest. So technical issues on the irrigation systems. This kind of technical cooperation can really make also a big change, because one thing is to increase, if possible, the available water per person, but one way to do that is certainly to work towards a better and more efficient use of the water that is at our disposal.
Okay, we're together with Mr. Daniel Ruch, Swiss Ambassador to Turkey in Çevre TV, and we're talking about the very important project of Swiss government, Blue Peace Movement. So the language of media, the television channels, journals, are also important, Mr. Ambassador.
Sure, that's why I'm here.
Huh?
That's why I'm here, it's to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to underline this. When we are talking about water, it's not something to talk in a negative way. It's not a conflict. A cooperation between the countries, nations, governments are needed. So it's a really important project. By far, what are the achievements? Could you reach your goals, and how everything is going for that project?
Well, you know, these are not specifically our goals. I think these are the goals are set by all the countries participating in this process. And by the way, this year the Blue Peace Middle East is being coordinated by the Turkish Water Institute, SUEN.
SUEN, yeah.
SUEN, yeah, you know, which is in Istanbul. And, well, I think there were some small achievements, like training programs for people on new methods of irrigation, how to better use the water. These kind of things can help, I believe, to move in the right direction. But definitely we need to do more, and we need to do better.
Okay.
And I see beautiful corals there, by the way.
It's when we talk about water is something like this is a miracle, and very important, of course.
We have also an important project on coral, by the way, which is not directly related to Blue Peace. But I think this is
we can listen to this also.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me that was my pet project in my previous assignment, because well, you know, corals are something really extraordinary, and it's just not the touristic value. Mm-hmm. There's a very strong value also in terms of absorbing CO2 mm-hmm. and of feeding a whole ecosystem with fish, algae, etc., which have a very strong impact. Now, as we know, the coral reef is being destroyed all over the world at a very rapid pace. There is one region in the world where it has shown an amazing resilience, and it is the northern Red Sea region. For genetic reasons, corals there can sustain differences of temperature of up to 7 degrees, whereas in Australia or elsewhere, usually 2 degrees is enough for the corals. So there is a very nice cooperation between some of the local universities there, especially in Egypt and Israel, and a Swiss university, to try to find out why those corals are resilient and what could could be done to use this knowledge of the corals, this genetic knowledge of the corals in other parts of the world, so as to try either to revive or save the coral reefs. But this is a separate project from the
all kinds of projects are welcome, and
yeah,
all kinds of projects are welcome and very important for us. Let me go with Paris Climate Agreement. How do you see, as a experienced diplomat, the objectives of the agreement? You know, for carbon neutral targets, carbon neutral goals of the countries. In general, 2050 is the goal for lots of countries. So how do you see, is it achievable? Are you pessimist or positive when you look at the future? Could you hear me?
Tell you that it is not really realistic to achieve all these objectives by 2050. I think this is what many experts are saying. I think what is important, is that each country, each nation is doing, not for the others, but for yourself, for your own population, for your own future, that we are working at the domestic, at the national level, the best we can, not necessarily because there are some objectives set in Paris or Rio or Glasgow, but because it is about the future of your nation, of your country. And that's, for me, that should be the main drive. And I think in our case, that's certainly the main drive. I believe that, that Turkey is absolutely on that path also. I have the feeling that Turkey has now taken the issue very, very seriously and will move ahead. The European Union with the Green Deal has obviously given us also a strong input to work on all these issues. Now, of course, there are a number of challenges. One of them is the domestic consumption of fuels, basically heating. So that's one is transport. The third one is the real use of fossil fuels. So definitely they have to move to clean energy. And the challenge is huge. On the other hand, there is also a rapid technological change. I think both our countries, but also the European Union, the United States, are investing a lot in the development of more effective ways to store energy in batteries, and to use non-fossil fuels. Like one of the new developments of the past few years has been the development, for instance, of vehicles, especially transportation vehicles, working with hydrogen. We have already some in operation in Switzerland, where basically it's water. So I think this is definitely one very interesting avenue. You are lucky to have a big country, Turkey, with a lot of space to put solar panels.
And we have sun also, plus lots of sun everywhere.
You have maybe more sun than we have.
Yeah,
and you have also wind.
So. Also, yeah.
So I think for wind and solar power, you have very good prerequisites, better than we are. In our case, really, water remains the key. One of the issues we are struggling with in my country is to replace our nuclear power plants. I know we're building one. Now we want to leave the nuclear energy to phase out within the next 25, 30 years. And one of the big issues is how will this be replaced. But I think dealing with these issues, especially because we're in the middle of Europe, can be addressed only in cooperation with our neighbors.
Mr. Ambassador, in that point, I want to ask you the relations between two countries, Switzerland and Turkey. First of all, in general, where are we now? And especially on climate issues, of course. What kind of cooperations, what kind of projects we have between two countries?
Yes. So in general, I think we have a very strong
yeah.
relation, which is due to the fact that there is a sizable population of Turkish origin living in Switzerland.
Yeah, of course.
120, 130,000 people have Turkish roots. Secondly, we have, I think, also very intensive economic relations. I think last year our companies were the sixth largest investor. So Switzerland appears in statistics as the sixth largest investor in Turkey with what, 420 or 430 million. So we have, there is a very strong interest and numerous interactions every day between our two countries. Now, working on environmental issues is sort of a new thing.
Yeah.
Traditionally, we have had lots of economic missions. We have tried to develop trade. We have tried to develop investment. But what we are starting to do only now, and I think there is a huge potential, is to first exchange experience regarding the green economy. And there I must say, I must come back to the Green Deal of the European Union, because I could see how seriously the Green Deal and its consequences for Turkish export to the EU was taken by the Turkish government. So that led us also to intensify our communication, our discussions with the Turkish authorities, but also with research centers, universities, to discuss some of the issues and what are the consequences of the Green Deal. And secondly, which for me is maybe the new initiative or the new prospect, our two countries should seriously intensify their cooperation between the innovation sectors, because some of the recipes that we have to address in terms of energy, in particular, energy transportation, urban life, consumption, all the issues related to climate change and its consequences, some of them can be addressed through technological breakthrough. Turkey is producing an electric car. I can't wait to see it.
TOG.
For instance. Yeah, the TOG, yes.
TOG, it's coming.
Yes, there are some plans elsewhere to also phase out the production or allowing cars using fossil fuels in the streets. All these creates impetus for motivation, incitement for technological changes, which means research development. And I think Turkey has a very strong base when it comes to innovation, to young brains which are smart. You have a very young population, you have a very well-educated population. On the other hand, we are affecting a lot of resources in innovation. We have some of the top schools in the world. Our research institutes are constantly looking for new brains, because you have a strong democracy. We don't have such a strong democracy, so we have to attract the best brains in Switzerland, and actually we have a very strong foreign population of students. So these are the areas where also, to address the issues related to climate change, I think we could really foster our cooperation in the future. We have a Swiss Business Hub in Istanbul, which has already organized last year a competition of startups, Swiss and Israeli and the Turkish startups. Sorry, I said Israeli because I did the same in Israel before. So. And Israel is also a very strong partner when it comes to innovation. So to conclude on that part, I believe that there is a tremendous potential to look at the environmental challenges through an intensified technological research and innovation cooperation between our countries, and this is definitely my priorities here, and for probably for the of my mandate.
By the way, the Israeli ambassador also will be our guest in the next days. So yeah, right after you, he's going to be there also. My last question, Mr. Ambassador, will be about Swiss people. The awareness in the public opinion about environmental issues. How is the level of that? These subjects like recycle. How is the daily system in general about all kind of environmental issues in Swiss public opinion and people, young people especially?
Thank you very much for asking that question.
You're welcome.
because that gives me the opportunity to do some advertisement and to praise our people.
Please.
Because
this is your mission, of course.
Yes, but we always want to be modest, and I'm a bit shy to say that. I don't think we fulfill the best our mission in doing always advertisement and saying we are good in this and that.
Not easy, yeah.
But in area, I can say that I think we are doing pretty well. Regarding recycling, the way it works is that most cantons, in Switzerland, we have a very decentralized federal system. So basically, it has it developed independently in the various parts of Switzerland. But as a basis, as almost everywhere, recycling is general. You have the opportunity to sort out your waste according to our waste. Well, people also the country house, or they live in the countryside, or they have small gardens, so they can have their own compost. I have my own compost, and also here, by the way. So then glasses, metal parts, everything that is electronic, paper, of course, paper and cardboard, plastic, all these can be sorted out in different garbage collection systems, and then it is being recycled. So at the end of the week, you have really only usually a very small bag of garbage, waste that which is then being sent to the treatment plant, and to encourage the people to actually sort out their waste, they use a very effective and powerful and unpleasant way. We have a tax on the garbage collection bag, and a high one. It depends on the region.
Years.
In my canton, it has been like at least 15 years, maybe 20 years.
So it's not new.
And,
it's an old system.
It's a high tax. Huh? So it's 2 Swiss francs for a bag of 60 liters.
Bravo.
So $2. So of course, when you buy 20 bags and it costs you $40, then you think before throwing something into the bag, especially when you have other options available which are free, like putting the glass apart and the cardboard apart and the organic waste apart. So the system is working very well, and you should not think trying to put a plastic bag with garbage inside which is not certified and which you have not paid, because then the garbage collectors are entitled to open it to try to find the identity of the person who threw that in the bin, and then you can get a penalty and be prosecuted. So this is a very serious business.
Wow.
I think the young generation is even more aware than my generation. I can certainly see that with my own children. My daughter has made a degree in environment. This is a kind of studies which is very popular in Switzerland. And she's always looking at ways to minimize the impact of her life on environment. To the point that when she came to visit me for Christmas, she came by bicycle from Switzerland all the way to Istanbul.
Ah, how?
Yes, by bicycle.
She came actually with a bicycle.
Yeah. She came by bicycle. They went through the Alps, Italy.
Hundreds of miles with a bro. It's really...
Well, more like 3,000 kilometers.
Félicitations.
72 days. Italy, what was after Italy? Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, Albania, Greece, Turkey.
Role model, bravo.
Yes. So,
congratulations.
But she's not an exception. You have a lot of people in this generation who, for their hobbies or for their daily life, are either using public transportation or bicycle. One statistics that I have seen a few years ago, but I guess it has not changed. Over 50% of young Swiss who are between 18 and 25, or who are 25 today, over 50% of people who are 25 do not have a driving license. Because you don't need a driving license. You can do more or less what you want with public transportation. So that's also very important. And I must also praise Turkey for having invested quite a lot in public transportation. I mean, I like to go to Istanbul by train. I prefer to go by train, actually, than by other means. And then in Istanbul itself, I love to travel with the subway and the tramway. All this is working absolutely well.
You can also go to east part of Turkey, especially in those time of year, with snow, white snow everywhere, with East Express, Van Lake, the Lake Van, the city
Of course,
Van
I know
Lake.
the Lake Van.
The name of the train is Van Lake Express, Van Gölü Express, and also there's the East Express go to Kars. All the way to the cars.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so you can try those experiences also with train.
No, I will definitely try those. When we were involved back in 2008-9 in the conversation between Armenia and Turkey, Switzerland was a little bit involved in those discussions. And one thing we did was study our railway company on how to rehabilitate the Kars-Yerevan track, because the prospect was, and still is today again, that after a normalization there would be an opening of new railroads. And I think it's very important because we took a decision. That's maybe another thing, speaking about our country. Our country is the main transit route between Germany and Italy, north and south of Europe. And we took a decision over 25 years ago that in principle the transport of goods should take place on the rail and not on the roads. So it was the environment. And we have built massive infrastructures, the longest tunnel in the world, 50 kilometers through the Alps and so on, to allow also this transition from the road to the rail. And I think we can see a phenomenon here which is also somewhat similar, in the sense that I think the rail transportation for goods is becoming somewhat more important now. And I can see how Turkey is reconnecting, especially with its eastern neighbors, through the rail. And it seems to me this is also a very positive development.
Yeah. I also experienced several times Swiss railways with the magical window view, like a picture. So it's really important, railroads and all. So thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. It was really important for us to welcome you in Çevre TV. Maybe we can hear some words for our television, for our channel. This is the only and the first channel, especially based on environmental issues. Your words are really important to us.
Thank you very much, and well, I wish you a lot of success in your program, and I wish a lot of success to Turkey, especially the young people who are committed to environment, because I see here also that the young people are becoming very active in trying to protect the environment. So good luck, and you can count on our support. And I really hope that we can develop an even more intense cooperation.
Okay, thank you so much. See you later. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Merci beaucoup. À la prochaine. Au revoir.
Ciao. Thank you. Evet. Jean-Daniel Ruch'la birlikteydik. İsviçre'nin Türkiye Ankara Büyükelçisi. Hem İsviçre'nin özellikle Blue Peace Movement adı verilen Mavi Barış Projesi bu konuda detaylandırdı. Hem İsviçre'de özellikle çevre konusunda halkın yaklaşımı recycle yani geri dönüşüm konusunda yıllardan beri neredeyse 15-20 yıldan beri yapılan o ayrıştırma ve ayrıştırma yapılmadığı çöplerdeki ayrıştırma yapılmadığı zaman kaynağında ayrıştırma yapılmadığı zaman çöpleri toplamaya gelen ekiplerin bizzat ceza kesme, o çöpler arasında yanlış bir madde bulurlarsa onu tespit etme ve onu yapanlara ceza kesme yetkisi olduğunu hem de çok yüksek İsviçre frangı olarak ceza kesme yetkileri olduğunu söyledi ve gençlerde de çevre bilincinin çok yüksek olduğunun altını çizdi. Özellikle kızı aynı zamanda Sayın Büyükelçinin kızı hem çevre üzerine bir üniversite eğitimi alıyor hem de İsviçre'den Türkiye'ye kadar bisikletle gelmiş. Ben inanamayarak bir kez daha sordum. Bayağı işte İtalya, Slovenya oralardan geçerek arkadaşlarıyla birlikte Türkiye'ye gelmişler. Ve özellikle genç jenerasyonun İsviçre'de artık büyük bir çoğunluğunun ehliyeti olmadığını çünkü araba kullanmak istemediklerini ve hem işte otobüs, metro bunlarla birlikte seyahat etmek istediklerini hem de bisiklette çok önem verdiklerini de altını çizdi. Ve Türkiye ile İsviçre arasında özellikle fikir bazında, çevre konusunda önemli işbirlikleri var. Daha önce ekonomi, ticaret, diğer konularda Türkiye'de, İsviçre'de yaşayan Türklerin de yine fazlalığından bahsetti. Ve zaten önemli bir işbirliğimiz var. İki ülke arasında yıllardan beri devam eden ama bu kez artık çevre konulu tüm işbirliği projeleri daha çok masada. Biz de daha çok ona kafa yoruyoruz dedi. Çok teşekkür ederiz tekrar ona katıldığı için. Jean-Daniel Ruch'la birlikteydik. İsviçre'nin Ankara Büyükelçisi bizimle birlikte oldu ve böylelikle Çevre Günlüğü'nün sonuna gelmiş olduk. Sorun Nerede programı var Deniz Şafak'la saat 14'te. Bugün Profesör Doktor Atiye Tuğrul, İstanbul Üniversitesi Jeoloji Mühendisliği Bölümü öğretim üyesi. Sürdürülebilir yeşil agrega üretimi ve önemini konuşacaklar. Deniz Şafak'la Profesör Doktor Atiye Tuğrul o programında izlemenizi tavsiye ederiz diyelim. Ve bugünlük de Çevre Günlüğü'nü noktalayalım. Yarın aynı saatte buluşmak üzere. Hoşçakalın.